What's going on, everybody? I'm Keith, host of Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas, where 4 to 5 of my brothers give their perspective on national as well as local news. We touch on some trending hot topics as well as culturally relevant news. We also get a chance to dive into some deep core conversations. Check us out live every other Monday at 7 p.m. You can find us on Just Our Thoughts on YouTube live, as well as Just Our Thoughts fan page on Facebook. Also, please don't forget to follow us on IG, JOT with the Fellas.
Hey, I like that beat. Hey.
What's going on, fellas?
What's going on?
We back for another amazing show, man. Amazing episode of Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas, man. I think for some reason I feel like this is the first episode, man, since this year, right? This is our first episode
of the year. First episode of the year.
All right.
Episode of the year. So we want to thank everybody for joining us, everybody for following us and giving us some encouragement for 2020.
True that.
Another year. With Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas, well,
Happy New Year, y'all. Happy New Year, Wardy and Keith and EB. Glad to see y'all made it, man. Glad to see y'all was counted in the number, brother.
You counted
another year.
Like you was already there.
Present and accounted for, man.
Present and accounted for. Hey, so I know a lot of people do New Year's resolutions, and some people, they change things during the year. I was sitting there wondering, man, we having some conversation, man. And, sometimes, I was in the gym and the gym is full
of course
of people, man. So I was feeling some type of way like, I can't wait for a couple months to go to pass, man. So I could get this gym, man. Everybody start fading away.
Yeah.
That's some of their New Year's resolutions, but
that's the pattern, bro.
Yes, it is.
So my question, man, I do have a question for you guys, man. Sometimes giving up things is tough, man. What is some of y'all, if you could tell me 1 or 2 of y'all guilty pleasures, man, when you think about giving up something, man, some things are tough, I'm saying, to give up, my sweets, man. I love my sweets, man. And, my cakes, my cookies, my cupcakes. But when you think about a guilty pleasure, man, talk to me, man. Tell me something, man. And it don't have to be food. It could be anything. A
guilty.
Yes.
Like I'm caught red-handed. The red-handed bandit. Look at you.
Right.
Yo, well, for me, it would be the Entenmann's cheese danishes. Warm them chumpies up in the microwave. Yo, exactly. You can subconsciously eat a whole box of cheese danishes in one setting.
Yeah.
Especially if you up around 2:30 a.m.
No.
Right.
2:30 a.m. with 2 warm danishes looking at you in the kitchen. You're just going in the kitchen to turn the light off.
And they sitting there staring at you.
And they sitting there looking at you, man. That is the hour of temptation.
Yeah.
It's 2:30 in the morning.
And they poured you a glass of milk.
Oh man, it had to be lactate. Look, I don't need nothing with the cheese Danish though, man. Warmed up, soft and moist. It got that center with the cheese and right in the middle, man.
Yeah.
That chumpy right there, but like you keep eating them things, boy. You're gonna have that extra tire.
Anybody else? Because I know about that extra tire.
Y'all know about no extra tire.
Hey, Ward, mine is right on the side. It ain't going nowhere, man.
Y'all know about no extra tire.
Nah, we don't know
nothing. I don't know about no extra tire.
You got that winter joint right there.
Yeah, man. Yeah, my winter coat. Hey, man. I mean, I like my dark chocolate. I love that dark chocolate.
With almonds or just
plain
unadulterated,
plain
unadulterated chocolate,
unadulterated dark chocolate.
Yeah.
I had to be clear with you when you said dark chocolate.
See, what did I tell you?
I think he more chestnut.
Somebody will take me to the gutter. We talking about some cocoa, some dark chocolate, edible chocolate.
Yeah, just
they
straight, just straight with
edible
no
too, but
no almonds, no nothing like that. Just straight.
nah. I'd rather have it just straight
Okay.
dark chocolate. But I mean, other than that, I love food, but my
Because you can cook. Wardy can cook.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you can get down.
I love
Wardy
my
can get down.
I love my Dungeness crabs, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you take me to a all you can eat Dungeness crabs, we throwing some away.
Mm.
Where we hitting them hard.
That's too much. The crabs is too much work for me. I'm sorry.
That's like a snack,
not
man.
these.
That's a
It ain't
snack.
nah. It
That's
ain't
a
like
snack.
Blue Claw. It ain't like Blue Claw. Them
That's
Blue
a snack.
Claws is work.
He says a snack.
For me.
Hey, KD, you missed when we put something together at my house over the summer. Ward put some wings together, right?
Oh.
Yo,
They yeah.
yo, EB.
EB likes wings. What he do to him? What he do to him?
Yo, this dude, he kept coming back in, and you know E is smooth. Look at him right.
Yep.
Yo, this
Come on,
brother
man.
kept coming back in, real nice and quiet. Yo, INF, man. Yo, let me just get 2 more wings, man. Let me just get 2 more wings. Yo, this was the third time.
Yo, didn't he hide some?
I don't know if he hit so.
Nah, see, no, well, you exaggerated. Hey, man, let me talk
If
about my
somebody
guilty
asked-
pleasures.
He
Man.
be like
Hey.
a child ain't been fed in weeks, acting like.
Hey, man, y'all know me, man. Y'all know I like to eat, man. So
No doubt.
here's my guilty pleasures, right? I like some Turkey Hill cookies and cream
Ooh.
ice cream.
Mm.
I prefer that
Yeah.
brand. I think it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Other than that, I like some Twizzlers
Hey, really?
and a 4-pack
I
of
forgot about candy. Yeah, go ahead.
and a 4-pack of Reese's, the king size of Reese's.
Yeah.
Those are my guilty pleasures.
In the freezer. In the freezer at that.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, listen, I rated my
That's good
kids'
stuff.
candy bag, man, around
A Halloween.
They
I know
Reese's.
you too.
I rated it, and I threw a bunch of them. Like Ward just said, I threw a bunch of them in the freezer, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh,
man, that shit is banging.
man.
Yo, I like a carrot cake, man.
Oh
From
my God!
you
Yes.
forgot
Yes.
about carrot cake? Yo,
Yeah, man.
carrot cake. I'm gonna be real with you. I go to
What was that?
I don't know what that was, bro. I go to the Amish Mart at times.
Mm.
I go to the Amish Mart at times to get my carrot cake.
Really?
And yo, I love it. I absolutely
Better
love
than what? Better than Wegmans? Have you ever had a
it.
Wegmans
I've
carrot
never
cake?
had Wegmans.
They
I
get
know-
nice thick slices.
Bro, I know the price.
They give nice thick slices.
You know enough. They do.
Yes.
You know enough.
You know, got good carrot cake.
Who that?
Sam's Club has some good
Really?
carrot cake. Yeah, but you can go to Lycio's down in Turnersville.
I didn't like theirs.
You didn't like theirs?
Ah.
The little Johns?
Okay.
What's the name of that spot, Ward?
Lycio's.
He writing it down. Look at it. He grabbed a pen.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Spell that for me.
Yeah.
Yo,
yeah.
cake, period. Birthday cake for me. Sweet, yo, I love Sweet Eats cakes.
Mm.
Yo, Sweetie's got some banging cakes, man. And any birthday cake with some icing on it for me, I go through it. You know, it's gotta be
I don't know,
it's
man.
gotta be that sweet cream. The
Right.
sweet cream.
The buttercream.
Yeah, the buttercream. Yeah, man.
But I see y'all went in on them brownie cakes I made
When
we was at my spot back in I guess what was it when we was outside.
the brownie
Oh,
cake.
yeah.
Remember them little brownie
like
cakes I made?
yellow cake and brownie.
Yeah, it was like white. It was a white cake and brownie.
That was
man.
hot. I think
I went in on your banana pudding with the chestnut cookie.
Yeah.
Hey, Ward, you mentioned me hiding some wings, man. I ain't gonna mention them.
Look at him. He retaliating.
That you hit.
Yeah.
What
He gonna bring back them cookies that Katina made for us that he swore I hid them in the basement.
Nobody could find them.
Did you?
Nah, I just took him down to the
Katie,
basement.
you know, he said that.
I sat him on the table. I put the chocolate ones upstairs, but them
He put them over by the CDs, the
Hey,
DVDs.
listen, but if y'all ever want to take a hike and get some good desserts,
Yeah.
Denise's in Philadelphia.
Where's that at?
What's that?
Oh man, you got to Google it, man. It's been it's
What,
been,
you
it's
don't
been
know?
it's been a
Got
minute
lost?
since I've been there. Denise's.
All right. Okay. All right.
What you do? Get lost and stumbled in there? I mean,
No, I had a birthday. Somebody had a
Probably
birthday
frat.
cake.
Probably frat.
oh, they brought some for you.
Probably frat.
Okay.
Probably frat.
That's some good stuff when it comes to pleasures. Welcome everybody to this first episode, man. This first episode of the year 2021. Welcome to Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas. I'm your host, Keith.
Keith.
I'm your host, Keith, and I can't do man without my brothers, my brethren, the fellas. You know, today, we here. Welcome. We this is our platform where we talk about national news, local and current events and trending topics. We also touch on some culturally relevant events. Today we got a special guest, Mr. Herb Martin, who will certainly be diving into some finances with us and just teaching and talking to us about finances, answering a few questions. We certainly going to give him the platform when Herb steps on in. But right now, and I want to introduce the fellas. Right now, we got Ward Heen. What's going on, Ward? What's up, Ward?
What's up, people?
Ward, I like your setup, man. That's a nice setup you got there, Ward.
Thank you, sir.
You got a nice setup.
Rob Tufnell touched on that.
Rob hooked me up.
Did Rob hook you up?
Rob, right there. Rob hooked me up right there.
That looks like Rob's print on the other one too.
What are you talking about? That one there?
Yeah, that looked like Rob's print.
That's another one. That was a gift.
Oh, you picked up two of them from Rob.
That was a gift. Yes.
Oh, that's how we doing this. Okay.
Don't feel salty. Don't start
judge me. Don't judge me.
Rob gonna be hitting us on the chest.
I like that, man. I like that. E, what's up, E? E Marvel.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on?
Hey,
man, glad to have you, man. Glad you pressing through, man, and investing. And appreciate you, man, good brother. KD, the professor, Kevy Kev, what's good, bro?
The professor's here, man.
The professor's here?
Yeah. I wasn't here last time, man. I'm here this time.
Man, it's good to have you, man. How's Spin coming along?
Man, I did a live stream. What was it, last week on the Band app? We did good, man. We did good. Had a lot of people tune in. Okay. And my little man Aiden was running right on the side of me with on foot. Okay, to the music. So
I saw your setup, man. That's a dope setup you got, man, with the lights and everything in the background, man.
Listen, Amazon is amazing. Jeff Bezos is a rich man. Okay, Jeff Bezos is a billionaire.
Yeah,
and I gave him a lot of money for my setup in Savage Studios.
Yeah. Hey, if those don't know, Kevin is a Savage Spin instructor, as he calls himself, the Savage Spin instructor. I took many of his classes, man. Have a great workout with Kevin. If you guys looking to get into spin, is an awesome workout, something different. Not a lot. It's not taxing on your legs, not too much taxing on your back, but just to get you started, reach out to Professor Kevy Kev.
I'm trying to get these two fellas, Ward and EB, for a class one day. Let them ride with me.
Man. We're gonna make that happen, brother. I promise you.
Yeah, I've been hearing that since 2015.
I know. Hey, listen, 2018.
2018. Let's keep the show moving. Moving. What we got, man? Let's get into some trending topics. What we got going on? Any trending topics going on?
Hey, man, we got national news. We got this impeachment vote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They want to present it on the floor on Wednesday for a vote in Congress.
Yeah.
They want to move forward with getting this man out of office. They either waiting for Mike Pence to agree to the 25th Amendment to declare. Well, they still waiting. They haven't heard an official word from Mike Pence.
Right. Well, they were saying 24 hours. If he didn't move in 24 hours, they were going to start the.
So they're gonna give him till this evening.
Okay.
They still waiting to hear something from him for at least by this evening. Mike Pence and his cabinet got to be like on the same page that this man's unfit and unstable to lead the country, but
Right.
Mike Pence hasn't said anything to Pelosi and he hasn't said anything to Trump. Whether or not he feels it, one way or another about it. But if that don't happen, they want to move forward with this vote on Wednesday. The articles have been presented today, to Congress, and a vote might be laid out on Wednesday. I think it's suitable to try and get this man out of the office. He's dangerous. He's dangerous and he shouldn't be there for even these remaining days.
Absolutely.
He'll be the first person to be impeached twice. Okay.
Yeah.
And the thing is that this has to happen. So, if it gets to the Senate for a vote, there'll be a stipulation that he'll be banned from ever being able to run for president again.
Right. Any office, right? Isn't it any office?
I think anything,
Yeah, but more specifically for him to have a 2024 possibility of getting back in there.
Right. Exactly.
He's caused disruption and insurrection. 4 people are dead, 1 Capitol officer, and 4 people, four civilians are dead, 1 Capitol police officer.
Right.
And you got police officers being investigated now because they were part of the riot.
Right.
They had their badges.
Yeah.
Out there. Philadelphia police officers are being investigated for being a part of this insurrection. Yeah. You think you can hide, but their faces are all over social media. It's just a shame. It's just a shame it took this long. Again, if this was black people out there, we would have been arrested immediately.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sure, for sure.
And more of us would have been shot. But
all of us would have been
shot. But the sad part about it, about that female detective in Philly, they're already kind of defending her now. They were like, well, she was on duty. Oh yeah, they were like, her boss saying, like she was off duty. It was her right to go down as long as she was, wasn't on duty. Didn't have, they were running down all these bylaws.
That was Commissioner Outlaw, the female.
No. It was a dude. No, it was a dude that was saying it. But that's crazy.
Yeah.
But you know what?
So we'll be dealing with the sting of that for a while.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, I saw earlier, man, where the DC Attorney General is looking to charge Trump and other people for inciting the violence, man. I saw that. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, they want to do things on the state level instead of federal.
Yeah. So he talking about pardoning himself for these charges coming up, man. But they said if he tried to pardon himself for these charges that might be laid out against him, they said he might need to slow down on that because it will open him up for civil lawsuits by people that were hurt during the riots.
Okay.
So they're trying to tell him to pump the brakes on thinking about pardoning yourself for any charges relating to this.
Ain't no different than OJ.
Yeah. Well, you say that, Ward.
Yeah. Where OJ? Where the Bronco at? Where the Bronco?
The new one's coming out this year. But I said that because because they didn't get OJ on the criminal charge, they got him on that civil charge for wrongful death. Okay. So you know what I mean. So
it gets high.
It wouldn't be no problem for them to bring a whole bunch of civil suits against him.
Yeah. And in other news, we got the murderers in Ahmaud Arbery's case. They are requesting that Ahmaud Arbery is not referred to as a victim during their case. During this case, that the audacity for them to even suggest that, I think is blasphemy. Really to not paint being a victim. So we're going to continue to follow that case, man, with Ahmaud Arbery. What else you guys got going on, man? Any other?
I just want to say, prayers up for Dr. Dre. Suffering a brain aneurysm.
Right.
You know what I mean? And going, being stressed out. Yeah, what they try to say was probably because he was stressed out from things he's going through, that the divorce.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then people tried to break in his house because they heard that he was in the hospital.
Yeah.
ICU. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Social media is bad at times.
Yes, it is.
You know, don't put your business out there because somebody is going to come rob you if you going on vacation.
Yeah, I saw they tried to break in Puff's house too today or last night. Yeah, they tried to do the same thing.
Man, crazy.
Yeah.
Really
so,
crazy.
Speaking of Dre, what's one of your favorite albums? Dre.
Dr. Dre?
Favorite singles.
Album man. Or singles?
Yeah.
Oh man.
That stand out.
Woo.
The Chronic would be number one all time right there, man.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
But
the
on the Chronic. Little Ghetto Boy.
Yo, you know that that was remade, right?
Yeah, that's
a sample.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What, the Little Ghetto Boy?
Yeah, that's a sample.
The song, yeah.
Not remember who did the first one, but yeah. Little Ghetto Boy is a sample. I was listening to it. Dope too, man.
But ain't everything they all samples.
Yeah, especially Dre.
Yeah.
Dre does.
They're all samples, but I'm saying that song, that joint hit hard, especially the intro, man.
Yeah. The way that beat dropped.
I mean, Dre has that Midas touch when it comes to the production.
He has that.
I mean, that whole California, that G-Funk sound.
Yeah.
You know, y'all remember Above the Rim Regulators with Warren G and Nate Dogg? That whole sound, man, that whole G-Funk sound, that's Dre, man.
Yes.
You know, I like 187 with Snoop and Dr. Dre.
Wasn't that Snoop's first one?
That was his that's the first one he jumped on.
Nah, Deep Cover.
Yeah, Deep Cover.
Yeah, the Deep Cover. It was on the Deep Cover soundtrack.
But that was the name of the song, Deep Cover.
Yeah, it was the 187, but Deep Cover 187. But that was the first. He said Snoop gave the story about how that happened. He said I think he told Snoop, Suge had called Snoop and said, "I need you to freestyle for the record company, and I'm gonna throw this beat out there." He said in like 30 minutes. He said Suge called him back. He said he had Dre and his parts, and he flowed for like a few minutes, and the record company bought it, man. You know, but crazy. Everything Dre touched, I ain't really listened to Dre in a long time,
right.
But you know, you go from the Chronic to Doggy Style, Snoop Dogg's first joint.
Yeah.
I mean, you got hits after
Chronic
hits,
2001, man.
All X-rated stuff, though, man.
And don't forget about NWA.
Don't forget about
NWA and the one dude. If it wasn't for the accident, I still say Snoop wouldn't be where he's at today.
The DOC.
Exactly.
You think so?
Yo, if the DOC didn't get into that accident, he was going to be the messiah of California, of West Coast rap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they spoke highly of DOC.
Because you got to remember, he wrote on Straight Outta Compton. He was even on there.
He did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The boy was bad.
But before there was a Straight Outta Compton, there was a Lifetime Michelet life story. Y'all remember that, right? Y'all ain't see the Michelet life story?
Yeah, when he did Turn Off the Lights with Lorenzo.
Yeah, but she had that Lifetime story, man, really going into, you know, some of the physical abuse she placed that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw. I was a little shocked to hear that and see that too, man.
Hey fellas, you know, stuff, man. Good stuff. We're gonna move on to our special guest, man. Today we got amazing special guest, man. A good brother too, man. Had an opportunity to kick it with him, man. We all did, man. Definitely a good brother, man. Appreciate, you know, him taking our time. You know, we got Herb Martin. Herb is originally became a client with Prime America. He's currently a regional VP vice president broker with the company after 2 years after going full time with them. He is also life licensed and has his Series 6, 63, and 26 securities license. And 16 years later, he has 50 active licensed agents in 12 states. So Dr. Herb is what we're going to call you, Doc. Dr. Herb, we'll bring Dr. Herb in and, have him, talk to us, man. We first want to thank you, for joining us, man. In the beginning of the year, a lot of people, really take a look at their money. I know biblically first fruits is huge. So we wanted to just definitely had this conversation is important, especially with our community. Bring your experience on and see how you can help those that's out there watching, those that's fans of the show. Maybe the conversation can travel across the country or somewhere else, and people can learn and people can grow from what we're talking about. So thanks, Dr. Erb, man. Thanks for
Dr. Martin.
What's going on, doctor? Good doctor. Welcome.
It's good to be on here with you fellas, man. This is exciting. It's my first time on a show like this where we have African-American brothers that's about their people and getting the word out to their people, and that's exciting.
Yes, sir. Tell us a little bit about you, Herb. Introduce yourself to the audience out there.
Sure. So I actually, if you had told me 25 years ago that I'd be in a position I'm at today, I'd call you a liar, because I had a previous career in construction and I followed my dad's footsteps and went to a vocational high school and took up building trades. And when I graduated on Friday, I started working in the union on Monday morning. Didn't even have a summer vacation. Went through my 4-year apprenticeship. And by the time I was 21 years of age, turning 22, I was the journeyman carpenter back then. And that was paying at the time about $28 an hour. Now, that's good money for a 21-year-old then and still today. But a fool in his money shall soon part. Because what I found out, hindsight's 20/20, right? What I realized is that we went to school, learned about everything about making money, but we didn't learn anything about money.
Right.
And money doesn't come with instructions on it. We wind up doing the wrong things with it, and it gets us in trouble. So back to my story is that I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, living paycheck to paycheck, and it got old. I put myself in debt, about $20,000 at the time. I bought my first home when I was 21. I got married when I was 21. First son when I was 20, turning 21. And when you move into a house, you become public to these guys called credit card companies. And they start mailing you those little plastic things. And they say, don't worry about paying us now, just pay us later. We're not going to charge you any interest now. We're just charging interest later. And 2 years later, the bill started coming in. It caught up. And now, I'm making this, but I'm spending more than what I'm making. And my emergency fund back then were my parents until Eric, one day my dad pulled me aside and said, that's it. I ain't giving you no more money. And that's when I woke up. Here I am, 23-year-old, still at going to my parents for money, supporting the family. I had good intentions, but, I had to figure things out. And I was blessed because I actually met a guy from the company I'm with today who helped me out. So I became a client. And it made such an impact on me. It made me realize a few things. One in particular, I realized why the rich were getting richer. Because they know the game. And guess what? I didn't. And I always tell people, don't hate the player. Hate the what? Game.
The game.
I'm trying to hate these wealthy people. Let's figure out what they've done to get to where they're at.
Right.
And you know what it comes down to? Learning money. Learning all about the concepts of money, which we never learned in school. Right. Now I understand that there's a few schools that are doing it now. But if we're prepared on knowing how to budget our money, knowing how to stay out of debt, not get in it, but stay out, and having emergency funds set aside so that not if the emergency happens, but when, we don't have to, understand, we're in a position where we're in a positive cash flow. And so it made an impression on me to where I decided to start working with the company part-time back then because I had to make up for a shortfall. And so it inspired me to teach others. That's what the biggest thing for me was, not just teach others, but more especially our people. You know, I started with myself, and I started with my family, and I still have some families to this day that are still knuckleheads that want to go their own route. But that's why they're where they're at, right? I can only convince those who are willing to be convinced. And so that's what happened to me. I just fell in love with it. And I got to the point where I was competent enough to let go of my career in construction to pursue this full time, and made a career over the last 25. Next month will be 26 years for me.
You've been in the game for a while, Dr. Martin.
More than half my life, man.
Yeah.
I started when I was 12.
Oh my goodness.
I started when I was 12. Anyway.
Go ahead, Keith.
Nah, hey man, I was trying to talk and my mic was muted, brother. You know, we got I think our, you know, our audience, man, is a very intelligent audience, you know, successful, college educated, you know, group of people that, you know, that tune in and tap in, you know, those, you know, that aren't, you know, still, you know, are successful in what they do. So, you know, if you can talk to us about some, you know, some of the things, man, where we have made some mistakes and how we can, you know, get to a position and begin to generate, you know, wealth, you know, at this stage. You know, I feel like our fan base, our audience is like in their 40s, 50s, some in their 60s, some, you know, are already retired. But, you know, if you can, man, talk to us about, you know, about that and what makes sense.
Okay. Do you guys mind if I drop a few statistics on where we're at as a people when it comes to our money? Do you mind if I
Come
give
with
you
it? Come with it.
Break it down, Herb.
Let me give you some stats if you like taking notes. First of all, let's talk about net worth. Net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. So I want to show you what the average African American net worth is in comparison to the whites, to the Asians, and the Hispanics. First of all, the average net worth for Caucasians is over $134,000. The average net worth for Asians over about $69,000-$70,000. The average net worth for African Americans, for blacks, is just over $11,000. Hispanics are over 13,000. So we're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Jeez.
Okay. And here's a couple of other stats that I want to share with you. Here we go. Let's talk about African American spending. There's about $3.3 billion spent on tobacco from African Americans, $3 billion on whiskey and wine, $2.8 billion on non-alcoholic beverages, $3.1 billion on leisure time, $3.5 billion on toys, games, and pets, $19 billion on telephone services per year. And guess what? 96% of blacks own smartphones. $10 billion on gifts, 17 with B. I'm not saying with an M, with a B.
B.
Jeez.
Billion in charitable giving, 13 billion on gambling, 29 billion on clothing, 65 billion on processed foods. Oh, and that's the reason what leads us to why 23 billion is spent on healthcare, because we spend 65 billion on processed foods, right?
Processed foods. And so
now you ready for this? When it comes to the dollar circulating in our ethnicities, get this. It takes 30 days for that dollar to circulate amongst the Asian community. 20 days for Jewish money to circulate amongst the Jewish community. 17 days in the white community and only 6 hours in the black community. There's something wrong with that.
Amen.
I grew up in a town where there's a place right in the middle of our town where there's a strip mall of stores. And in that strip mall of stores, there's an Asian cleaner, there's a Asian owned Chinese restaurant, Asian owned produce store, Asian owned hair and beauty supply.
That good hair.
And an Asian owned soul food restaurant. So of the 6 stores in that strip mall, they're owned downtown, right? They're owned by Asians in a black community.
Yeah.
So as soon as that black person gets paid, that's the first place they're going to. They're getting their Chinese food. While they're waiting on that, they're going in and getting that good hair. Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting their nails. They're getting the produce.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
Right.
Now here's the other scary statistic. Then I'm trying to give you a reason why I'm like on this crusade.
Right.
It makes sense. Only 321 million was spent on books in the African American spending. Million, not billion.
Not billion.
Okay. What if we were to cut that spending in half? You know what that would free up? $96 billion for us to free up to invest. To invest. So now let me come back with you on this real quick.
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm trying to bring it home here. I want to keep it simple with you. So knowing those statistics, there's a few things that you guys need to take in consideration here. Number one, you got to understand money. You got to have financial education, number one. You got to learn about it, right? There's Dave Ramsey. There's Susie Orman, right? Myself, when I go and sit down with families, right? But see, what prevents most people, guys, from getting the financial education is they think it's going to cost them what? Money. And they're right about that. In some cases, just for you to sit down with somebody, they charge you to assess your needs. Well, there's more than there's other people out there that won't do that, right? So that's number one. Number two, you need to have a financial plan. Think about this, because I used to be in construction. How difficult would it be for you to build a house without a blueprint? Would you agree it's difficult?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It starts with what's in the mind. It goes on blueprint. Then it goes into its physical form. Guess what, guys? Same exact way to build a financial house.
Okay.
It starts with the questions in mind. At what age would I like to retire? How much money would I need to have saved by retirement for me to live comfortable off of it on a monthly basis? Not only in today's dollars, but what? Future dollars.
Future.
Okay. How much would I need to set aside each month to get there? Now, when I ask people that question, you know, what's your game plan to save? You know what they respond with? And I'm not, you know, looking down on them when they do this, but they say, well, I got a 401k. Okay, great. You're putting money in it. But do you know what you're putting in there is enough for you to put aside each month to get on track? Doesn't it make sense for you to find that out now as opposed to 1 year before you retire?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's important to have a financial game plan. And the third thing that I always advocate is you got to have a coach. You got to be held accountable.
Yeah.
Right. And then again, when people think of a coach, they think it's going to cost them money. Well, guess what? There are coaches out here that when you go through a plan with them, there's no cost outside of their plan because typically the person who helped you gets paid by the companies that they set you up with. So, here's what I find is that our people would feel more comfortable doing business with somebody that looks like them.
Right.
Hopefully y'all didn't miss what I just said.
Yeah.
See, because I got help now. I'm not prejudiced. Please, let me just set this up because I know people are thinking I'm not prejudiced at all. Okay, I'm just pro-black. I'm just pro-black, right?
Okay. Yeah.
The guy that helped me was white. Now I didn't have nothing against him. What would it be how would it feel if I knew that there was a brother like myself breaking this stuff down to me? So here I am. I grew up in an African-American community and I see where everybody else is like myself. And I don't consider nobody else to be stupid. But boy, it sure would be nice if they had somebody that looked like themselves because they would feel much more comfortable doing business with that person than they would with anybody outside of that ethnicity.
Right.
And based on those statistics where we talk about money being circulated, sure would be nice to keep that money with that circulation in your own community as well.
Good.
Hey, Herb, I got a quick question, Herb.
Sure.
Can you tell us how important it is to set up a budget? I know for me personally, years ago, you know, I was just pretty much trying to do everything off the dome and just trying to figure out, you know, what my bills, my expenses, and what my savings was going to be. I had that all in my head of, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. Never really sat and wrote it down. Can you talk to us a little bit about how important it is to set up a budget?
It is extremely important. And I have to attach whenever I think about a budget is that you're part of that budget. Your income your income should pay you first before your money goes amongst all the other bills.
Right.
So there's something that's called the pay yourself first formula.
Gotcha.
And before I talk about the pay yourself first formula, let's talk about how typically most people save their money. What they usually do is when they get paid, they pay all their bills first, and then whatever's left over, they try to save with that. And how does that work with most families? It rarely happens. Okay. But if you treat yourself like a bill, like you take your utility bill serious, like you take paying your mortgage serious.
Right.
That's the same approach you need to have mentally when it comes to paying yourself. Here's why. Here's the rule of thumb that I teach. You should either take a minimum of 5%, 10%, or 15% of your worst case net income. We can work with that. Yeah, that check after they take taxes out, you can still do 5, 10, 15% of that. That's fine.
Okay.
And put that aside.
Okay.
Now, before I get into the budget, that 5, 10, and 15% needs to be set aside for 4 things. Just imagine when you build a house, it must be built on a strong what?
Foundation.
Absolutely.
So because you don't have enough money saved, now I'm talking to the ones that have financial obligations here. People that have a wife dependent on them, children dependent on them. That foundation has to be life insurance, period. Number one. Because you don't have enough money saved. If you only have $1,000 saved and only a $10,000 policy for final expenses through your job, now that they figured out a way to bury you, how are they going to replace your income? So that's number one. So of that 5, 10, 15%, a portion of that needs to go to that premium. Then you got the 3 fundamentals. What I call is building the frame and the roof of the house above.
All right. Okay.
So now the rest of that money needs to be split amongst number one, an emergency fund. Because it's not a matter of if an emergency happens. It's again
when.
Now, if you're taking notes, here's the rule of thumb for the emergency fund. Your goal is to have up to either 3 months of your living expenses or 3 months of your income ultimately set aside in that account.
Okay.
And I need you to attach a time frame for that. That's your 0 to 2 year account. That means that anything that occurs in the first 2 years as an emergency, that's the account to tap first. Okay. Now, while you're putting money aside each month for your insurance and putting a certain dollar amount aside in that emergency fund, again, this is all part of that 5, 10, or 15% of your income that you're paying yourself first with, right?
Okay.
The other fundamental account is what I like to call the rainy day fund. Some people like to call it a short-term account. I like to call it the rainy day fund.
Okay.
I use that to take my wife out, right?
No, that's what's left over. That's the miscellaneous money. Okay. No. So the rainy day fund is for larger expenses. That's your 3 to 5 year goal.
Okay.
And your goal in there is to have up to 6 months worth of your living expenses or income set aside in that. Now, when I say larger expenses 3 to 5 years from now, this could be purchasing another car. Because why would you want to finance 100% if you got a pretty decent amount set aside for that specific reason, right? The other thing it could be for it would be purchasing another home 3 to 5 years from now, or home improvement, right? Here's the other 2 things people fail to realize. That, yeah, we're in a good economy right now, but what happens if the economy doesn't do well over the next 3 to 5 years? Well, that's the other reason for the rainy day fund, right? To prepare for unemployment or prepare for disability. Now, the state of New Jersey that I live in, I know that usually by the time somebody gets their disability check, they're already back at work. That's how long it takes for them to get the first check. It's usually not to the end of 90 days. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So that's the purpose of the rainy day fund. And then the third fundamental account to invest your money in is your wealth builder, AKA retirement.
Okay.
Hey, you ever hear somebody say, I love what I do? I don't know if I'm going to retire. Okay. Well, let me just tell you guys this.
I'll hear that too, man.
Let me just tell you this. Okay? Your mind and your body are two separate things. Okay. Your mind is saying, I don't think I'll ever retire, but one day you may wake up and your body's going to tell you something different.
That's
your
right,
body's going to say, you can try to keep working if you want to, but
my body telling me that now.
So now what happens if you didn't prepare for retirement because your mind was fooling you the whole time? Right? So you got to be obsessed with a date to retire. Look, even if you don't decide not to retire on that date, guess what? If you got money stacked, you have options now, don't you? You can decide to keep working or not working as long as you have money stacked. So there's some vehicles out here that you can label for your retirement. Now, I think somebody had a question about that. Well, what vehicle do I use? Well, let me just tell you about the first one. And there's a certain amount of money that you can only make in order for you to contribute to this. It's called a Roth IRA. Now, I think a Roth IRA is good for everybody that is eligible for it. Now, here's why. First of all, through your job, if they offer you a retirement plan where they're willing to match you, you better take every advantage of it. Why? Because they're giving you free money. It puts you that much closer to your goal of retirement. Some companies will match you dollar for dollar or 50 cents on a dollar. I don't care if it's 25 cents on a dollar. Do it. They match you that up to a certain percentage of your income. Okay. And it typically can range anywhere from 3 to 6% of your income. Right. So if they match you up to 3% of your annual income, then that's dollar for dollar. Run with it.
Okay.
But here's why I recommend the Roth. Because the unfortunate part is when you start to take money out of your retirement plan from work, you now have to start paying taxes on all that tax deferred growth. Start withdrawing. Okay. But a Roth IRA only allows you to put in money that you have already been taxed on. So what is that? That's called after tax dollars. That means that every time you get a check, they've already taken the taxes out on that. That's called after tax dollars. So if you get direct deposit, what goes into your bank account is after tax. Right. You can only put that in a Roth. Your Roth IRA still grows tax deferred like your 401k. The only difference is when you start to withdraw the money out of your Roth IRA when you retire, you don't have to pay any dime in taxes whatsoever. So the question that I usually ask all my clients is this: when you retire, do you want to pay taxes on all your money? What's my face doing right now?
Oh no.
You sure don't.
Right.
You want to have an account where you have access to it, to where you don't have to pay taxes on that particular account. That's why we're in the world.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Now
that non-taxable.
Yeah. So now I just want to make sure you guys know this too, since I said that. The downside to it is there is no deduction on the Roth compared to a deduction off your 401k or any traditional IRA. Now, everybody has a different fingerprint. So if somebody's in a position where they're not married, they don't have kids, right? They don't have a mortgage and they're getting taxed heavily, then they may consider an IRA that's tax deductible to offset what they owe to the IRS in taxes. But if you already have kids, you're married, you got a home, you got stuff to deduct, right? Again, I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not here to give you this tax advice, but I'm telling you something that's public anyway.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. You ain't got to worry about that. Then go get that Roth. Get that Roth. Make that happen. Now, what about other alternatives for self-employed people? Well, because you're self-employed, you got another door that opens up. Now you have things called SEP IRA, stands for self-employed pension, or a simple IRA. Again, I'm not going down a rabbit hole with you guys on this stuff. I'm just telling you these alternatives. Now, these alternatives are really good for self-employed people because you tend to pay, you run a business, so you're trying to prevent from getting taxed on your income, and you got to find ways to deduct your expenses. So a SEP, for an example, allows you as an employer to set aside either $57,000 a year or 25% of your income. That's a big deal for somebody who's self-employed making $100,000. Okay? If they save a minimum of 25% of that, if they save 25% of that, that's $25,000 that's deducted off their income. Now the IRS looks at their income as $75,000 if they're a full deduction. That's a big deal to a business owner.
Yeah. So, EB, you should have kept that ice cream shop, man. That you should have kept that spot, man.
Hey, listen, it's never too late to get it back, brother.
Never too late.
He is self-employed, so it's good for somebody who's their only employee, which is themselves. It may not be as good for somebody to have a SEP if they got other employees, because now they have to contribute the same percentage in behalf of their employees. So it may not be good for somebody who's just getting started and they say, man, I can't afford to pay this percentage for everybody else that works.
Right.
There's another alternative out there. Like a simple IRA. That's something different. So you sit down with somebody like myself, that professional person should be asking you those types of questions to find out which one is going to suit you best.
Gotcha. Hey, I got one quick question.
Sure.
You talk about IRAs and a Roth. I'm a construction worker myself.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I'm an electrician. We have a surety fund now. How is that compared to like an IRA or a Roth account or whatever?
Great question, Ward. Great. I've been out of the game for a number of years. Let me just tell you how I can answer that by using me as an example.
Right.
When I was in, we had a pension. Yeah. And then we had an annuity.
Annuity. Exactly.
That's what you're leaning towards. Is that
yes, I have an annuity. Right. But they call it a surety fund.
Yeah,
but
I know.
It's annuity. Annuity.
Yeah, they switch the names up every once in a while.
Yeah.
So the way the annuity works is you can have it still sit with them when you retire, and it pays you a fixed amount for the rest of your life.
Right.
Okay. Just keep this in mind, Ward. If you leave a company, here's what I always tell people: if you're going to clean out your locker, clean out your locker.
Oh yeah.
You have the ability to move that annuity, because here's what can happen in some cases. If a company went into dire straits financially, if they filed for bankruptcy, or if they got in any type of financial issue, they tend to freeze assets like pensions, 401ks in certain circumstances, and annuities in certain circumstances. Okay. So you now have the ability, and an annuity also may be investing in funds like mutual funds, or fixed accounts within that annuity.
Okay.
Now, Ward, you're extremely too young to be in any fixed account, just by the way you look, right? Because you're young. But as you get closer to your goal, you transition your money into something more secure.
He got a birthday coming up, Doc. So he getting old.
I only got 10 years to retirement.
The upper room.
Okay.
I ain't that close.
So again, it comes down to making sure that you're properly allocated.
Right.
And as you get closer to your goal, the more conservative you want to be, so that when you start withdrawing money and the market starts getting rocky, you're not overly exposed in equity funds. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Now, before we go down that rabbit hole, people are like, you just lost me. Well, that's because you didn't learn about mutual fund 101. And I usually teach that, and then they have a better understanding about what I just shared with you.
All right. Okay. Now back to EB's budget.
Yeah.
Question. I know. But listen, I want you to talk about this budget, my income and my expenses. But I don't want you telling me I got to give up my vanilla chai tea at Dunkin' Donuts in the morning. I don't want you telling me I got to give up my shrimp and rice for lunch. I don't want you telling me that I can't go to BootCon, because I take wifey out, chair right. But you can't be telling me I got to do away with certain expenses in order to save money, because I love these things, Herb. Why are you going to separate me from the things that I love the most? Come on, man. Know what? I deserve this.
Yeah. You sound, and you know what? He may be exaggerating, but that's a lot of people that say that to me when I sit down with them, right? And you know what I get to tell them is that you can have the best of both worlds if you plan it in your budget. If you put it in your budget. So okay, after you pay yourself first, now what you got to do, the first thing is walk around looking like Columbo for 2 weeks. Now, Columbo, some of y'all youngins that are listening don't know who that was, but look at the old episodes on some of these stations now. But what he did was he was a detective, and he walked around with a little mini spiral notepad. And that's how he took notes on all his investigations. You need to be the investigator on your money for the first 2 weeks to find out where it's going. Well, it's quite clear. You already know what's going towards your credit card and all that stuff. Lay that out. Find out what you're spending on that. Rule of thumb is I don't normally recommend if you're in more than a third of your income in debt, you got a debt problem for real. So the fortunate thing about that is you can do a debt stacking without having them refinance. You know, if your credit's not the greatest, then you can do a debt stacking with that. What does that mean? That means what you do is you add up what you're spending all together monthly on all your debts. And in most cases, most people spend a little extra on each debt.
Okay.
Instead of splitting that extra on each debt, pay the minimums on all your debt except for one. And what's the one? The one that's closest to being paid off.
Right.
Is where you take all that extra from all those other debts and dump it onto that one debt.
Yeah.
That's going to accelerate it.
Nice.
To get paid off faster. Now, once that's paid off, you ain't going to take that money that you used and dumped all on that and now go spend. No. You're not going to add another dime to those credit cards. What you're going to do is take that extra money that you used on that card and add it to the next debt, which accelerates that. Now you take the money from those two that were paid off, plus the extras that you paid on that paid off, add it to that one. And what happens is, I'm a visionary, right? Visual guy here, right? It's like if you took a snowball and you put it on a snow-capped mountain and you let it roll down, what happens to that snowball as it goes down?
To build up.
Exactly what happens to your debt. What happens is you still pay the same monthly amount, but you're able to pay off your debt way in advance. And in most cases, you're able to knock 7 to 10 years off your debt on average, and you're saving a ton in interest, right? And imagine what can happen once you pay off all those credit card debts. Now, the money you used on that, if you want to get out of your mortgage faster, guess what you can do now? Apply that portion to the principal of your mortgage.
Right.
I got people paying off a 30-year mortgage that they were in, right? And they knocked 10 years off of that because of that, 15 years off of that. And guess what? Once you're out of all that debt, now you can start loading up on your what? Retirement.
Yeah.
See, what's so cool about it is you want to time it perfect so that when you retire, you don't have a mortgage anymore. Right. You don't have any debt.
For sure.
Right? If you got kids running around the house right now like a 10-year-old, 15 years, 20 years from now, that 10-year-old's 30. Hopefully that 30-year-old ain't in your house no more. No, it's time to roll. But you no longer have those financial obligations. You got money stacked.
Yeah.
Short term, midterm, and long term, you're bulletproof. But now, with all that being said, can you now see why you got to have a game plan?
Sure. Sure. Right. Hey, Herb. Again, man, thanks for coming on. For those that's joining us, we have Herb Martin here, Regional VP, Guru. I'm gonna throw out there, Doctor. Definitely joining us and sharing, your experience with us. For those joining us, thanks again for joining. Just our thoughts with our special guest, Herb Martin. I have a question when it comes to life insurance. Can you talk to us about how other communities build wealth concerning and particularly pertaining to life insurance?
One of my greatest eye openers, Keith, was a book that I read. It's called The Jewish Phenomenon. Okay. Now it can be a little complicated for somebody who's not much of a book reader. I remember first coming into this business and I understood that for me to play in this game in a predominantly white industry, as African Americans, we got to work twice as hard to get the same recognition, right?
Absolutely.
So I was never a book reader prior to coming into this business, but I knew I had to become one because I wanted to continuously bring value to my people and people in my colleagues in the industry, because I didn't want to be frowned upon, right? Or just being stereotyped. I wanted them to know that when I walked in the room that they're going to say, "Dag, that's that guy Herb you were talking about." So I had to get good with this. So I started reading a lot of books. One of them, totally one of my favorites, is The Jewish Phenomenon. I'll never forget in the part about insurance. And so in there, Jewish people take out life insurance, they see the importance of insurance because they know it creates generational wealth. So what they do is they take a policy out on their parents, and the kids split the premiums for that policy. And it's multi-million-dollar policies. So that when the parents pass, the odds are in their favor because they take a policy out on mom and dad, $1 million policies. So now there's a greater odds that one's definitely going to pass, right? Sooner than later. So then once that claim gets paid out, it pays the trust. They establish a trust. And now what the trust does is it pays the children income, but they also set the trust up to where it pays for the kids' life insurance, who, by the way, took out what? $1 million policies on themselves, so that when they die, the kids inherit more wealth.
Right.
And it just keeps going and going and going.
Got you.
Unfortunately, our mentality is, I'm sorry.
I said, talk about it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, in African-American mentality, we just want enough to be buried and the family will figure it out on their own. No, guys, I ain't trying to get religious on you, but biblically it states that you must leave, right? Money not only to your children, but to your children's children.
Right.
Most people that are young think they ain't gonna die. Are y'all kidding me?
Right.
I paid 5 death claims not last year, the year before. 3 last year in 2020. And all of them were not old.
Right.
I had a guy who was 40 years old, died on his motorcycle. Okay. Ooh. But he listened to me. And we delivered like a $400 and something thousand check to his mother, who took care of his daughters. His youngest daughter was just turned exactly 1 year old a week after they buried him.
Wow.
So don't tell me that ain't a big deal, because now she's able to what? Create accounts for those kids, right? We put money aside to replace a portion of his income, right? It's a big deal. So back to us. We need to make sure that while we're working on the outcome, that's part of it. Now, with that being said, insurance can be extremely expensive if you don't get the right kind. Now, I also want to tell you this, Keith, that the agents that are out here selling these insurances, unfortunately, tend to do what's right for their pockets as opposed to doing what's right for that client. So they'll sell you a product that is not in that person's interest, where they make a lot of commissions off of that product. Now, I'm not bringing up company names because that's called bashing. That's illegal. But I can talk about the products that they put out there. And the one that we do not advocate, that I never recommend, neither does Dave Ramsey if you read his books, neither does Susie Orman if you read her books. The only type of life insurance they condone is term, period. Now, somebody in their mind right now is saying, well, I was told the term's no good because when it runs out, you don't have no insurance. Hold on to that thought, because I'm going to kill that theory in a minute. Okay. First of all, insurance is not meant to be permanent. It's only meant to be temporary. It's only meant to buy you enough time to do what you need to be doing with your investments, so that when that time is up, you don't need the insurance because you're self-insured. So term only pays if you die, period.
Right.
But term is no good unless you what? Save your money. Now, if you're that person on here where you're not willing to force yourself to save money automatically out of your bank account to go directly into a mutual fund systematically each month, then yeah, you might be that person who needs that little whole life policy, or cash value policy, or universal life, or variable life, or you get a life. There's a bunch of names for those other policies. But what people don't know is those bundled products consist of 2 things, which is the death benefit and the savings. They're sold on the fact that they have a bundled product, and when they pay their premium, the agent says that premium gets split amongst both the death benefit and the savings, and the person gets fired up because they're like, man, okay, now I know why I'm spending all this money monthly, because you're taking half of it and putting it to the protection and half into the savings. But here's what the agents don't tell you about those policies that's written in the fine print, Keith, is that number one, if you want to take some of your money out of your savings, they're going to loan you whose money?
Yours.
Your own. Plus, they're going to charge you what on it?
Interest.
On whose money?
Yours.
My money.
Yeah.
Now, wait, let's put that in perspective, Kev. if you had a savings account, that worked like that at your bank, would you ever put money in it if you knew if it worked like that? No,
not at all.
It's my money. Why would I want to borrow? Exactly.
Right.
But unfortunately, it works like that in a lot of those policies. People don't realize it because they put their faith in the agent and they never read the fine print.
Right.
And they normally don't find out until what? It's time for them to pull the money out, and they call up customer service, and customer service says, "Oh no, you got to borrow it, right? You got to get charged interest." And by the way, whatever portion you take out of your savings, it's considered a loan, and that amount that you take out gets deducted off the face amount of your coverage.
Right.
So let's say you got $4,000 sitting in your savings, and you take out, let's say you take $4,000 out of your savings, and your policy's $100,000. Your policy's not worth $100,000 now; it's $96,000 if you die with that outstanding loan. You don't know it though until what? Something happens.
Right.
Here's the other scenario, and I'm gonna wrap it up with this insurance part. But the other scenario is, let's say you don't take money out of your savings, you leave it alone, but you pass away 4 or 5 years or 10 years into the plan. Doesn't matter amount of years; it can be any year. But when you pass away, when you were living, you were paying for two things when you were living: for the death benefit along with the savings. So should your family get back the death benefit along with the savings as the beneficiary? Morally, they should. But legally, in the fine print, the family does get the death benefit, but that savings reverts back to the insurance company in most cases. I got a question for you guys. If you found that out, you feel upset as well on that part.
Hell yeah.
Now, what if you were paying, and I'm going to wrap this up on that part. What if you were paying for two things, but found out that you were only getting back one or the other, not both? What does a plan like that sound like to you? How about a ripoff?
It's a snake in the grass.
Hey,
we gonna storm that company like they did the Capitol.
Hey, Ward, guess who used to
They're gonna shoot me. They're gonna shoot me. They're gonna kill me, Ward. Don't send me up there, brother. Don't send me up there.
But guess who used to own one of them policies years ago, guys?
Yeah, that's crazy.
All I did was construction, Ward. We didn't learn about this stuff in school. We learned about construction when we went to work.
Right.
Because somebody took advantage of my ignorance. When I moved into my house, I was sold one of them policies.
Right.
But when I found out from Primerica, the guy told me this: Herb, never consider any insurance as an investment to begin with. Think about this: your car insurance. Does that have savings?
It's a ripoff, total ripoff.
Well, it does, but there's no savings in your car insurance.
Right, there's none.
You don't get car insurance to save, right? You don't have
not at all.
Health insurance. Does that have a savings in it?
Not at all.
Homeowners, renters insurance.
Not at all.
How about your phone? Does that have it? Does that have a savings in it? Sure doesn't.
Nah.
You know why?
I don't buy that anyway.
You know why? Because those insurances are only meant to pay if something were to what, guys?
Happen.
In case something happens.
In case.
And by the way, if something, right? I just dropped my thought. Okay. In case something happens. Oh, I'm back. And by the way, don't you keep your savings separate from those insurances as well? You sure do.
Yeah.
You keep your savings separate from your auto insurance, your homeowners, and your health insurance, don't you?
Right.
We teach the same thing when it comes to your life insurance.
Yeah.
There's a policy out there that works just like those other insurances. It's called term. Term enables you to get a whole lot more coverage for a lot less money.
Right.
And you still save, but just keep the two what, guys?
Separate.
Why? Now you're in control of the money, not the insurance company. Now, do you think those agents want you to know what I just told you? They sure don't.
Oh, they mad at you, man. They mad at you.
Talk about me and my company because I get paid to close their butts. Now, keep this in mind. There are different level terms out there. We preach level terms, not to kind of go up each year with your age. We teach level terms, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, and 35. And we market all those different levels because everyone's needs are what? Different.
Right.
So watch this. If I'm sitting down with an older couple and their kids are already out the house, they got about 10 years left on their mortgage, and they got about 10 years before they retire, they don't need a 10-year level term. But if I'm sitting down with somebody who's got a 2-year-old running around the house and they just took out a 30-year mortgage, then they need a what? 30-year level term.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they need time to invest their money.
I got you.
Right.
So that when that 30-year term is up, they better have some money saved at that point.
Makes sense.
Because they got retired.
Okay.
Right.
Now, in order for them to retire, watch this. If they got $300,000, $500,000 or more saved, do they think they need to worry about renewing a $500,000 30-year level term if they got a $500,000 saved? No. Game's over. Why? Because now they're self-insured.
Right.
Right.
If something happened to that person at that age when their term runs out and they got a $500,000 left over and the wife has to bury that husband, she's going to be able to take $10,000 of the $500,000 in his mutual fund out and live off the other $490,000 after she pays for his funeral, can't she?
Yeah.
Were we ever taught about not only investing in school, but were we ever taught about insurance in school?
Insurance, no.
How can we make the right decisions when we're not educated?
Right.
That's why education is number one. Having a plan is number two. And number three, if you can, a coach.
All right. Okay. I got a question.
Starting to gel, guys. I don't
know. Oh yeah. We sponges right now, Herb.
Okay.
I wanna throw something at you.
Sure.
Because we running out of time and you just dropping all these gems and pearls on us, bro. You dealing with life insurance now. I'll be 48 years old in March.
Ooh.
Yeah, brother. Y'all better stop it. Y'all better stop it right now. I have 3 life insurance policies. I'm in good health, not on any medication. I don't have any pre-existing medical conditions, thank God. But there are many that's my age, that's 48, 49 years old, with no life insurance, but have a lot of pre-existing medical conditions, on blood pressure medication, on other medication for hypertension, high blood pressure, things of that nature. You know what the African American community have. You know what I'm saying? And just kind of tell me, like, is it next to impossible? And I know we're talking about getting late in the game now, knowing that I do need time to get my investments together. And I realize, if I am that type of person with those pre-existing medical conditions, I could go at any time possibly. Yeah. What is out there for those that are in that type of situation?
And Herb, can I also add, if KD does have those conditions, can I take a life insurance policy?
Oh man, you got to have my social. You better get out of here.
First of all, let me just address Keith's question real quick, because that is real with business owners.
Yeah.
If you have a partnership in a business, you are crazy to be in that partnership without a key-man policy.
All right.
So if you share an expense with somebody else and that person passes away, now you got to deal with that expense.
Right.
So yes, there are certain companies that can set up a key-man policy, term policy, I recommend, of course, for that reason. I'm glad you brought that up, Keith, because that's a big deal right there.
Yeah.
Now back to Kev's scenarios. That unfortunately there are situations where we can't help everybody, but let me start with this. I'm not an underwriter for my company, so I'm not going to sit there and try to judge somebody because they have a pre-existing condition. But there are some people that still will qualify with a pre-existing condition. Like if it's just high blood pressure, it depends on how long they had it and if it's been controlled. But now when you have high blood pressure with somebody who's a diabetic, now that goes to another level. Okay. So, so there's 3 scenarios. Number 1 is that they will be declined, and they don't have to pay any expense to find that out. But I would rather know than guess. Okay, that's worst case. Number 2, if they apply, they could possibly just get rated. What does that mean? That means that based on their health condition, they have to pay a little bit more for every 1,000 that they take out than somebody with no pre-existing condition. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, they can come back and be approved with a pre-existing condition, like I said, with either if they're diabetic, right, or high blood. I have people that qualified for both. Now, if they had both combined, that may be more of a risk. But you never know until you find out. That's number 1. Now, let's say they find out that they don't qualify. Well, they better be obsessed with saving money in their mutual funds.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they better make sure that they have beneficiaries named. Okay. One is called, okay, so if it's a non-qualified account, so if it's something other than retirement, they better have what's called a transfer in death on there. When they do an application transfer in death, it's one of the things I recommend. They like to call it a poor man's will. What that means is it's named a person already in the beneficiary, so it doesn't have to be in the will. Got it? So I recommend that. Now, if it's a qualified plan like retirement, by law, they have to name a beneficiary for that. By law, they don't have to name a beneficiary for a non-qualified plan. But you better name beneficiaries in there and be obsessed with putting money away.
Right.
That's the only alternative you have. Now, some people say, hey, Herb, there are some insurance companies out there that will qualify people with pre-existing conditions, and they don't even have to answer medical questions. Okay.
Wow.
I told you I wasn't going to mention names of companies, right? But I can talk about the product. I can talk about. My first question to all of you guys on a logical thought is, do you believe in getting a free lunch? Please go like this.
If you're going to treat me to lunch.
Right, you ready for this? You ever heard of, if it sounds too good to be true, it what?
Right.
It normally
is.
Yeah. It normally is. So there's the fine print with those. Now, some people have no choice but to resort to that because that's their only resource. But just keep in mind, not all companies, but some companies have it in their fine print that, first of all, the average policy is about 10 to 15,000 because those are some expensive policies. When they do advertising on TV, take a look at what it's saying. I'll just use a number. It's only $7.80 per unit. Well, what they don't know, a unit is $1,000 of coverage. So when you got a senior citizen that's paying that per unit for $15,000 of coverage, it can be expensive for that person.
Right.
Okay, that's number one. But let's say they can afford it. Within 2 years, I'm about to lose my battery. Hang on. Okay, I'm back.
All right.
I might stop for a second. Okay. You got me?
Good.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah.
So if you do get the policy, keep in mind, if you pass away within 2 years, your family doesn't get the death benefit. They only get back their premiums that they paid into it for the first 2 years.
Right.
If they make it past 2 years, now what you got to do is add up how much you spent for it, because 9 times out of 10 at that point, you don't spend as much what the face amount of coverage was that you took the policy out for. So you got to weigh your pros.
Yeah.
Times when it comes to if you have to resort to stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. Fellas. Keith, you on mute. Keith.
What's up, man?
There it is.
No, that's definitely some good stuff. Appreciate you, man, for taking some time out, man, and joining us, and sharing with us, so we can be more well informed and educated, and continue to, build some more, generational wealth for our family, man. So we definitely appreciate you, man, and we'll be leaning on you.
I'm here, man. Kev knows how to reach me. Kev can get me on my number. We're all good, man.
Yeah.
Good to have a circle of people like this, man, are about doing the right thing for themselves.
Yeah. Dope conversation, man. Dope conversation. So thanks again, Herb, man. Thanks again, man. Thanks for doing
Thank you, brother Herb.
Hey, Herb, Dr. Herb, we appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you guys too, man. Have a good night now.
All right. Thank you, bro.
Hey, we just had a good segment, man, a good conversation with Brother Herb Martin, I'm sharing some information, sharing some knowledge, man, so we can continue to put ourselves and our family in position,
And I'm going to be honest, that was a little bit doper than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that was.
Hey, you're a hard sell anyway.
Nah, it's just that, finances with me.
Okay.
I never liked them because of sometimes they try to make it so difficult. They want to make formulas, this and that. Nothing can be just black and white. You can't get, put something in and get what you put in and get it out. But that was dope. That was dope.
I think Herb did a good job at kind of breaking it down in layman's terms so that we could really get a grasp of where we were coming, where he was coming from.
You did a damn good job. Damn good job.
The one takeaway I took from it that I got from it though, you're invested in yourself. You're invested in your financial future. You're investing in your children's educational future. You know, with life insurance and these investments he's talking about, it's no really quick fix. You know, you're not going to get a quick buck or a quick $1,000 with it, but you got to be willing to put that money away, and then in the long run, you'll see the growth that you want. So it takes patience, and it takes a sacrifice to part with money that you're probably spending on stuff like he was saying that's really useless.
I gotta slow down on them sneakers.
Oh man,
your guilty pleasures too. Ward.
Yeah. Y'all know me and my sneakers. I'm worse than a woman with shoes.
Listen, I got a bunch of gear that I had to bag up and give to Goodwill, man. So that's my guilty thing.
Yeah. Hey, so we had a great conversation. We're gonna go to a new segment. This new segment that has come up. You know, something that we wanted to have fun with. We definitely want you know, in the near future, just go to some segments. We're gonna go to.
Shopping bags, they way down for all.
Let's get to Ward's segment. Ward's man laws. What's going on, Ward?
What's up, man? First, I want to say thank you for, you know, bringing this segment and let me express myself.
What you got?
All right. So we did you know, after we talked about it, I did a little digging, and I picked up my man law number 30.
Man law number 30.
Man law number 30.
Number 30.
Title: Sagging of the Pants.
Okay.
And man law reads: no man should sag his pants bearing his drawers and or crack. We don't want to see it. We understand that this is now a fad. So to be fair, any man over the age of 30 shall not sag.
Oh man, I don't. Any man over 30.
Dude, I swear, whenever I see dudes our age sagging, it's like, really, dude, come on, man. We ain't past that yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a fad when we was kids. You know what I mean? You come out of jail, you might have been you might have been sagging in jail. Right. But that was that jail thing. Leave that in jail, man. We don't want to see that out here. It's not a fad. It ain't cute. It ain't sexy. It ain't none of that other shit. That's horrible. It's horrible. Hey, Ward, man. Put your pants up.
Put your pants up. Hey, Ward, I was in the store the other day, man, and I was picking up something. And I turned around, I saw this brother. He had to be older than me, man. I saw the crack, man, and crack kills. Crack kills, man. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yo, you got your little baby girl with you. She couldn't have been no more than 3 years old. I'm like, yo, pull them pants up, brother. You know, but of course.
What are we sending to our, you know, the message we sending for that? Come on.
Hey, you ever see, Katie, the guys, the young boys, man, with their strategically their belt strategically strapped down thighs. It's not even around their waist, man.
Right.
No, yeah, I've seen it. And listen, I gotta admit, I was a sagger in Stockton.
You were?
You know? Yeah, I was a sagger.
Wow.
I was a sagger.
Yeah, but you was
young boy.
He was young boy.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was. But it you know, it was a style. It was a style. I mean, I see the extreme saggers these days with it all the way down past the butt.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
wearing right on their thighs. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
How do you walk?
Yeah, but one day, EB, I was walking to the financial aid office in J-Wing, and you know, I was sagging, and this brother I forget who it was. He just said, "Yo, KD, pull your pants up, man." I was like, you know, what? This is in my head. This is the style. Why are you picking on me? You know, but
Oh man,
it resonated within me.
Yeah.
It resonated within me. You know what I'm saying? To kind of be a little bit more decent and in order.
Be in order.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I feel you.
Yeah, man. Number 30, man. Pull your pants up, man. Law number 30. That's good
Number
stuff.
30.
That's good.
At least had some clean drawers on it.
Have some drawers on.
Yeah.
Hey, we had another amazing show.
Crack is whack. Remember Whitney. Poor Whitney. God rest his soul.
Oh man, dope episode, man.
That's what's up
with the fellas, man. I'm gonna get in here and watch the game. Who y'all got for the night, man?
Who's the night? Who's ball?
Man,
game, Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama.
Oh, the national championship game.
Yeah.
Hey man, I'm still reeling from the news of Doug Peterson being mutually parting ways.
Yeah, I'm crushed by that, KD. I'm crushed.
I'm not crushed. I kind of saw it coming, especially. There was some fallout. There was some fallout from that Washington game.
Yep.
That resonated around the league,
Soon as I heard he got pulled into the principal's office last night, I said, "Yep, he's going."
Yeah,
LeRae.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to think about football right now.
Nah.
I'm in the same boat, man. I thought that Doug, he kind of guaranteed, man, that he was coming back, but something happened, man, within the past few days that
he lost that locker room. Yeah.
He lost
he did.
He lost the trust of his players. When you lose the trust of your team, because of your
it's bad, man. It's bad.
So we'll rebuild. We're in a rebuild. Everybody goes through it. New coach, new season, new time.
Hey,
so
let's go 2021.
2021.
Hey fellas, let's wrap this up, man. Another good episode, man.
Yes,
man. Drop some knowledge on us, man. Some things that we can learn from, some things that we could take and impart into our families, man, and give to. So shout out to our brother Herb Martin, man, for taking his time out and sharing.
Thank you, Herb.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Meet us in a couple weeks. We will be back. This is Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas. Check us out on YouTube, Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas. Go to JOT with the Fellas on Instagram. Subscribe and like on YouTube as well. And go to Just Our Thoughts on our Facebook fan page. We appreciate you. Happy New Year. Thanks for coming out. We pray that you have a prosperous year. Peace.
Prayers.
Peace.
Prayers.